show, the Bead Button show. I'm just thinking of old times. No, this would be the Interweave Creative Makers. Thank you. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. We have a live audience here, so thank you all for coming early and sneaking in and not looking at any of the other stuff that's at the show for now until the vendors get here. So welcome. My name's Wyatt White. This is my what we call Create It with Wyatt. It's every Friday morning from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching on jtv.com/extra, you'll notice that you have some little things. Standard Time. Yeah, you got to turn that down. Sorry about that. All right, so now I should be able to see the comments as soon as things come on, hopefully. Okay, where was I? jtv.com/extra. That is where you'll see all of the little icons in the bottom right-hand corner. You see 3 dots. You will also see the hearts of love, and also the most important one, the shop button. So if you see something that you like today, make sure and put it in your cart, and you can check out at the end of the show. You can also go back and rewatch the shows just by going to the JTV Extra /extra. So we will get started because people are here and we're ready to go. So the first item on the show today is the multipliers. This is a plier that I actually invented, and it has 2 different heads. It's got a round nose at about, if you were looking at a clock, at about 2 p.m. and then one at 10 a.m. And what that does is that allows you to not have to pick up and put down the pliers each time that you use it for the specific purposes. I also have it so that the back, you're looking straight down the nose of the pliers so that you can see when you're working on it, just like this. So I've got some stainless steel wire, which is in the show also, and you just grasp the tip just like so. Can we get a little, oh yeah, here we go. I love this camera. All right, so let me see if I can get it straight up. Yeah, right there. Okay, so you just make a little twist like this, about 1/4 of a turn, and then pull this wire back and around. Now, with stainless steel, you've got to work fairly quickly because it does work harden as you're working with it. Then you place this loop into this part of the plier and wrap this around, just like so. All right, then you're going to drop a bead down and do the same thing on the other side. So once again, you're going to grasp it right here, make your turn, bring this around, pull it tight, release, and then make your other wrap. So this is going to give you about a 35% speed up in the time that it takes to do this type of wire wrapping. And you've got to, of course, come back and cut your wire. And you've got to be really careful with stainless because it is nice and stiff, but it's also very sharp. So we want to make sure that you're not leaving anything too long. And then when you're ready to make the next one, you just go like this. Make your bend, bring this back around, finish this loop out. Then you have to put the piece that you just made onto it. Or not. You can make multiples of just these that have two of the loops on it. You can make a bunch of those, and then you can hook them together at another time. So there's a couple of different methods for doing that. I just like this, and a lot of people like to use 2 pairs of pliers to make these loops. And in my opinion, you don't need to do that because the wire is pretty forgiving. Certainly the copper wires and things of that nature, you have plenty of mobility, and it's just pretty easy. With stainless, it's just a little harder, but as long as you have the tool working for you and not against you, So if you see, I'm not trying to twist the plier except for on that first little move. And here I'm just holding it so I can then pull this wire nice and tight to get my like 1.5 loops. You can do as many loops as you like. So that's what the multiplier does. One of the many things that you can do with it. It is, now does that price include the additional 10% off, Jamie? Or are we, it's $24.99 with a discount of an additional 10%? Okay, so if you're watching today or you're in the audience, and if you're watching on your phone, which I don't think anybody is, thank you very much, you can see me. This is fun. Normally I'm in a small room in my house. All right, so that's the multiplier. Does anybody in the audience have any questions about this tool? No? Great.
I have one and it's great.
Okay, perfect. She has one. This is our friend from Kansas City. They drove in, and they've been around, and we met in the bar the other day. Oh, is that the correct prices? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Actually, I missaid. The Bead Fest price is $22.49. So you can't get that plier anywhere for lower than that at this moment, for sure. The second item that we have, of course, is plier 61. This is probably, I know it's Susan's favorite cutter. It's my favorite cutter. It comes from Italy, so it's a very high quality flush cutter. And you just can't, let's see what the price is on this. Da, da, da. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a price, $35.99 for the plier, for the cutter. Very, very good price on that one. So what a flush cutter does is it gives you a very flush cut. You can see the flash here. That's a very flat cut. And what that does is that'll give you a flat piece of wire. Once the wire is cut, it's going to be flat. Now the other side is going to have a ridge over the top. So it's going to be a very sharp, where the plier has pinched it apart. You want the flush part to be whatever's going to stay onto your piece of jewelry. So if we're working with what we've been working with, and I put the plier over here, so you're going to make another one of these, just like so, and you don't even have to look after a while. And when you hook this on, I put that down. You should never put that down if you're doing production work. All right, so we're here. So this is the shiny part. That always is going to be facing the piece of wire that you're leaving on the piece of jewelry, okay? So the flush cutter is always facing what stays on the jewelry. That way you'll get the nice flush cut there. Now the only other time that you want to do that opposite is if you're going to be using it for an ear wire. And then I like to make the knife cut on what's going to be left with it, so that you're only grinding down the very rim of what has been cut. So if you do the flush cut, you have to grind all the way around the entire outside edge of the piece of wire. But this way, it's just the top. So, good way. Best price on this that I have ever seen. And that $35.99, you can't beat that. This is a $62.99 cutter. So you definitely can't beat that. All right, stainless steel, artistic wire. So, I won't open the new package. So what we have here are just about every size of artistic wire that you could ever want in stainless steel. So we start at 26 gauge, and there's 24, 22, 20, and 18. So this wire, an 18 gauge in stainless steel, is going to be something that you would use on structural things. What I did, if you saw the show last week, I'm totally onto these coconut shell beads. Coconut shell. It's just a really cool bead. So what I did is I took the 18 gauge wire, and as I put these on it, I just bent it back and forth and back and forth and bring the beads up. And you're going to do a cut. And when you're cutting the thicker wires, you always want to cut towards the back of this, not at the tip, because the bigger wires are tougher on the cutter. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that too close to the edge. Now, I'm going to bring these out of the way a little bit. So now I'm just going to use the pliers to then bend this back around. And it is not the easiest thing to do, but you can certainly do it with the plier. And then just bring that around until it sort of matches the other side-ish. And then you can just bend this back in, and you've got a cuff bracelet that has a kind of a fun-looking thing here. Okay? So that's a very, very easy thing to do. You can also get more complicated with it. Now, the stainless steel wire set of 5 different spools is Bead Fest priced at $35.99. So you're getting a lot of stainless steel wire here. And this wire is actually 304 stainless. So it's going to be the same as your cutlery and things of that nature. So I've used the stainless steel in just about everything that I've done here. And so now we're going to get into all the rest of the stuff. So if you watch, you know that I kind of go down these little rabbit holes, I call them, when you get started on something and you're thinking about one thing, and suddenly that just all changes and you go to something else. Some people call that creative something. I can't remember what they call it, but I just call it my little rabbit hole because luckily some ideas usually come out of doing something that you thought you were going to do, and then it takes a turn. That's what this became. Because it was like, what am I going to do with the 18 gauge to make it so that you know that it's very useful as a structural, and that's when this came. Thank goodness. All right, so I think the first thing I want to show you also, I'm going to jump ahead to the last item, which is a stainless steel oval link chain. All right, so this chain it's a term that I use called T90. Yet this chain is so strong, it's unbelievable. I tried to break it so that I could get a piece off of the spool that I had. I couldn't break it. The links stretched, but now you can't get anything in those links because they're so small. So this chain is really, really strong. I was shocked. So of course, the first thing I want to do with chain is, of course, make a little dangle rama going on. So I cut several pieces, all the same size, and just ran them on a, I believe this is a 22 gauge piece of wire here, and then I started wrapping it with a 24 gauge wire. So what I have on here is I just have a few of these that I haven't done yet, so I wanted to show you what I was doing. So I would wrap, pull down just a bead, and wrap that from this side over to the left of the chain, and then to the right of the chain to finish that wrap. And then I'm going to continue doing that all the rest of the way up so that it'll keep everything nice and in shape. So over the bead, to the left of that piece of chain, over the top, and then to the right of the chain without tangling anything up. And now I'm back at the top portion. And so you've got the stainless steel wire over the top, holding the chain in place. And I've got like 2 more wraps. Go to this side, up here, and down over there. And now I've got to make the ends match. So I'm going to do the typical thing that you always do with wire wrapping is make this little loop by bringing this around. Bring this up and over. And what did I do? Okay. So I took just one wrap here, bring this down to here, wrap that around, single wrap. I'm going to cut that off. Then I need to bring this around and then finish that off right under here as well. Snip that end off, snip this end off. And now you're ready to either put it on a piece of leather, or you could actually add a piece of the chain, or even double the chain. And the really cool thing about this is if you don't like it like this, you can alter it. It could be straight across because you have the flexibility of that wire. And each time you bend on it, it's going to make it harder each time. What's called work hardening. And the work hardening can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. So only bend it a lot if you want it to get harder. But you got to remember that if you make it too hard, it's going to break because you can only condense the molecules in stainless steel so far, and then it's gonna get brittle. But you can do a lot of things with it. It could even be in a circle. If you wanted that, I could see a pair of earrings like this, and then you'd have to put maybe 3 pieces of chain on it so that it would hang in a circle. So just a lot of really fun things that you can do with this chain. Now the chain is on sale for, it's approximately 10 meters. It looks like it has a lot more than that, but it's 10 meters for $35.99. So if you're thinking about that, you're looking at $3.50 a meter for really tiny, fabulous chain. You can use this for just about anything. I could even see just a single one of these beads with two pieces of this hanging down just on the chain. Really, really simple and easy ways of doing that. And of course, I had to make a chain. Do I have it? Huh. I think I lost it. I had made a little teeny tiny clasp for the chain. And so I want to show you how I did that. We're going to have to get really in close on this one. Now I've changed my pliers to the glitter pliers that JTV sells because they have really tiny tips. So this is some really precision stuff that you can do. But I'm just taking the ends. Let's see. Can we get the overhead on this one? Oops, I'm way out of the screen. Sorry about that. All right, so just make a little teeny tiny loop and leave it open so you can get the chain in there. And then come to the other side and just carefully come back and make a little tiny hook. Cut the hook a little bit long so you can bend back. All right, can you see that? I think I'm out of the, there we go. Can you guys? Oh yeah. My monitor's a little dark. It looked like you couldn't see it. All right, now very carefully, I'm going to take another T9C plier and just bend the end of this. I'll get my hand out of the way here in a minute. Back and up. Okay. There we go. Ah, it's time for somebody in the audience to win. It's all about winning today. Uh-oh, I just lost. There we go. Okay, here comes the first winner of the day. Ta-dum-thum, and the number is 863200. There she is. Congratulations. Sarah will have your bag right over here. Okay, now I'm going to just show you how to hook this end in. But of course, I'm going to have to take my glasses off so I can see up really close. It also gets my microphone right up in my voice box. And it's not quite open just enough. There we go. Then I'm going to close this nice and tight so that that little teeny tiny chain can't come out. And when you see something like this, it makes you think, ooh, a chain that's stainless steel, it's really small, safety chain. That's what came to me. And at $3 for a meter, what is that per safety chain? Probably about 30 cents for a really nice little safety chain. And you can also make this a pendant chain too for anything that you're selling that's either a silver color or has been plated. So all about the chain, great price. All right, I'm not seeing any comments. I don't know if that's because of my phone or whatever, but are there? Are you answering them? Thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so there's a moderator, so somebody is watching that, so that's good because I'm not seeing any on my phone. Excuse me. Okay, so now the next thing that I did was, of course, to wrap the chain around the beads on a piece of wire. So if you've watched some of what I do, a lot of times I will make coils. And of course I did that on this because stainless steel coils up very nicely. So I'm just grasping the very tip of the stainless steel and I'm going to close it down, not as far as I'd normally do because I need to snip off about half of this little hook that's here. So I'm just going to snip that off and then crush this down so that I can start coiling this. Got to get in there a little deeper. Okay. So now I just grasp a hold of that little tip and just kind of grasp and twist, and it will start to go. It sometimes takes a little bit of time, but with stainless, each one of these little moves causes it to get harder and harder. But that gives you a really nice foundation to start putting the beads and the chain on. Oh, I think I used my chain on this. So I will just snip that off and hopefully it's long enough. Okay. Got my, see if I can keep these beads on the table. Yes. All right, so you just start by getting a piece of chain, the very end of the chain, on here. Drop a bead. And then pull the whole business up here towards the end of your piece of wire. And pull the wire down into the bead. And then get the the next link that's the closest. Whoops. Just like, thank you. Isn't she the best? Well, I think I have to cut the end of this again because I have a little problem getting that into this next piece of chain. All right, let's try that again. Pull this over. I know it fits. All right, so I've got one. Drop a bead on. And I like doing this because it keeps the chain on opposite sides of the bead as you go up the design. See, so it's sort of got an S pattern in there. Because the chain is so tiny, you can always find a spot that's going to look just like this has been woven almost. But then because the chain is nice and tight, it's a little bit hard, gets a little bit harder as the more you get on here because of the tightness that's becoming made with all of this angles of the chain around the bead, and because the links just don't move. I probably should have told you about these beads, and I will in just a second when I can come up for air here. All right, there we go. So now to get this to go down the wire, you've got to kind of nudge it and get a little bit of space and then another. So that's pretty much what you do. And then on the other end, of course, you just make your loop. Okay? So those beads are Hubei turquoise, approximately 5 millimeters. Really cool strand of beads. They are $44.99. And once again, I get to come to you because of your purchases. We appreciate that. And these Bead Fest prices are incredible. We have the multipliers at $22.49, the designer flush cutter at $35.99, the stainless steel wire for $35.99, and the Hubei turquoise at $44.99. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. You get a full 15-inch strand. All right, now waiting to in the off stage is the star of the show, in my opinion, and that is the tanzanite. So we have a faceted rondelle bead strand, and of course I took it apart because whenever I have faceted anything, I'm all about getting the biggest bang for your buck when you're selling them. So I always pull them apart. Well, not always, but most of the time. Pull them apart so you can use the parts. But I use the smaller parts for earrings, and then you can save the bigger pieces that are down at the bottom. Let me show you what this strand looks like. It's really, really nice. So they vary from about, we don't say, but I would say, looking at this, probably around a 4 to maybe 5 millimeter at the very center, and then coming down from there to probably close to maybe 2 millimeter, with lots and lots of facets. So you get some sparkles. It's really, really a beautiful piece of tanzanite for $51.29. Oh, that's interesting. It's a 29. How about that? All right, so what I've done, here is the finished piece. And I've taken some liberties, and where is my little pin that was in here? Okay, oh, it's right here. All right, so I had this pin that came from another piece of a tool that we sell, but you could use a piece of wire that's probably about a 16 gauge to make this the little tiny center portion of this ear wire. You see that there's a coil there? So I'm going to make a coil, and it's going to be on this, and I'm using 22 gauge stainless steel for the base. So I start by wrapping this wire around, and don't worry about the first loop not being exactly where you want it, because you'll get it there. Just keep holding on to it. I have some lotion on my hands, and that was a bad idea because everything's twisting. But we have ways of getting around that. All right, I've got to see how many wraps I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, then that just slides out, and I have this left. And I'm going to go down into the depth of the pliers as far as I can go so I can cut it. And then I want to kind of squeeze it down so that the coil looks more like a coil, so that we can use that as the base for what's coming. So we need the top of this is going to become our ear wire, and then this is going to be the base of it. So I've started by making in 26 gauge some sort of a little golf club looking thing. I guess you can probably see that. Oops, let's just turn that up like that. So it's just like a little golf club. So I just did what I normally do for a coil, but instead of cutting the other piece off, I just flatten that and then grasp it and just turn it like so. Because I want sort of just like a little place for these tanzanites to sit. So, and I'm using 6 pieces of tanzanite, and what I did with my stranded tanzanite is I pulled 3 from one side and 3 from the other side and just kind of paired them up so that I'm using all of the smaller beads first, and then cut these at about, what would I say that, maybe 1.5 inches. String them all with this. And sometimes seeing these is the hardest part of the whole thing. But if you'll just kind of put it in your hand and feel around, you can usually get them in. I think it's easier to feel for that drill hole is easier than trying to see it. Because I have to take my glasses off and get my face a lot closer to it. And I seem to be better at stabbing with my right hand than with my left hand, so you might find that some of that can be easier if you just try one and then the other. All right, so we've got all 6 of them done. Now you just take this part and start running these up into the center, which will now become your earring. Now this could be done with all kinds of things. It could be a ring, it could be bracelet components, pendants, just about anything. It's a really easy way to actually manufacture your own sort of finding to utilize the beads that you have, whether they be small or large or whatever, because you can get exactly the size that you need for however many of these dangles you want to have. I chose 6 just because, I don't know, just chose 6. I'm going to just push those up in there. We've got one more. And now you're thinking, oh, good grief, what are we going to do with that? We'll just keep pushing it up and then start getting one at a time, going around and pushing those up into the center of that. And they'll start to kind of pull each other out. And then very carefully make sure the little golf clubs are all in there, not sticking out too much, and then you can sort of just start pulling them out towards the outside. Because there's 6, you know, with flowers you have to make sure you got full coverage, but with this you're so small down here that it's pretty easy to do. Okay, now take off the glasses, and I'm going to very carefully start to close. So with a coil, you've got an end piece, and I want to put that end piece and squeeze it in so that it will hold what we've got on the bottom. I'm going to get the tiny plier to get this done. So hopefully there's no, we don't want to crack any of the tanzanite. So you just got to get that end and just slowly close it in slightly. Okay, that's got a pretty good hold on it. Then we just have to pull these over the top edge of the coiled wire. So now those, each time I bring one of these down, that completely locks them in place down below, because they've got a hold from there, and you don't want to cover the top, this top wire that's going to become your ear wire. Just bring these all down about where you think they would likely be, and just make them nice and tight. That way nothing's going to slip. Now that I have a little bit of less going, I can squeeze that just a little bit more so they're not moving too much on me. All right, now the quest is to get all of these wires the same length, because we're gonna make coils out of each one of these lengths, and we're gonna coil it. I have to see if it's down or up. Down. And that's gonna determine where the coil actually sits. And I want these coils to sit down onto the twist wire. And this guy is being difficult, so it's going to get repositioned. It seems like time is going slower today, which is great, because I'm having a lot. I didn't think I'd be able to get this far, but I'm thrilled that I have. So then we're going to do each one of the ends just like I did before on the other coil. If you find one is a little bit longer, you can cut it, but You could make these coils all different sizes. That would have a totally different look for the design, but you know, anything is fair game with this stuff. And you might even find something that you like that's even better than these coils, because there's just about anything you could do on the top. You can hear a pin drop in here. Okay, they're all done. I can put my glasses back on. Okay. Now, because we want it to go, we want these to curl down, I'm going to twist them so that the wire wraps on the underside. So just grasp here and twist. Squeeze and twist, squeeze and twist. Ooh, it's time for another winner. What are we winning today? Huh?
Some beads.
Ooh, we're winning beads. Everybody's up for that. Okay, here goes. Get your tickets ready. Okay, are you ready? Drum roll. Thank you. 863199. It's the two first. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. Sisters, even better. Now you guys can trade or fight, one of the two. You'll share. That's very nice. I didn't give you that option. Sorry. That's good. I don't fight with my sister anymore either. Anymore. There was a time that we didn't really necessarily like each other, but that has all changed. Okay, so I'm just continuing to roll these down, and then as you get closer, just put those right next to, standing up, perpendicular from the circular coil that's in there. And just keep doing that. And we are gonna snug up the top as soon as we get all of these coils done. But you really have to get all of them done before you can try to mash part of the coil to. And it takes a little bit of time, but once you get the hang of it, you just got to grab a hold. And I like using the bent one because you don't have the tip of the plier in your way as you move it to the left to make your coil. And it just seems to make it easier for me to coil these down that way. And you've got more pressure, you've got more surface area of the plier to apply the pressure, so it damages the wire less. So if you're using the very tip of the plier to try to do this, all the pressure's in like one area, but in this area here, it gives you a little more control over the coiling. And when you start to coil, you need all of the pressure and anything that makes it easier. And being on a live stream, you want it to go faster. Okay, there's only 2 more to go. And then as you can see, the other earring that I'm matching here, I just hand formed the loop of the ear wire because I think certain things you can get away with something being really a handmade look, so that it's not just a store-bought finding. Which there's nothing wrong with store-bought findings. It's just, if you're doing something like this with tanzanite, you want it to be a little bit special. At least I do, because it just makes sense for it to be a little more custom. And handmade ear wires are a pretty easy way to do that. And if you have a battery-operated bead reamer, you can smooth the end of the stainless steel with those. Now it's gonna lessen the lifetime of your wire rounder using it on stainless steel, but it does work. Okay, now we've got all those babies on that side, and just carefully I'm gonna kind of turn this wire up like so, and bring these wires. So all of my coils are on one side, so I'm just going to kind of bring them to the front. These two. And then the others a little bit. And bring this up and over. And I just use my thumb to sort of force the wire up and over, and just kind of size it with the other one. And this one's a little bit wider, but you can narrow it up, like so. The second one's a lot smoother than the first one was. Just bring it down and put your little doodad out here. And we have a matching tanzanite earring to potentially go with the necklace, that you still have plenty of beads to use. And if you happen to be, oh wow, you put some great, this is big enough for me to read. She's really handy, thank you. I forgot what it's so great to be able to see that. Great camera work too, by the way. Those look great. Okay, so let's do a little review. Does anybody have a question? Okay, yes, question. For the ear wire, 22 gauge. 22 gauge for stainless steel. Usually, I really like 21 gauge, but it's really hard to find in our world. I find that it's getting harder and harder to find, but you can find it. But the stainless steel is great for people who have some people that have allergies. Other people can't wear stainless steel. My sister's one of them. She can only wear sterling or platinum. She can't wear 14 karat gold. She can't wear stainless steel. So it's, there's some of those people that are on the outsides. All right. Let's see. Yeah, there's far too many for me to read through those. So, so that was the only question you had? All right, so I just want to go back through and tell you about the values today. So this, the designer flush cutter, which is normally $62.99, today is $35.99. Great price for this. The multiplier, which is my invention, it is $22.49. Should help you, once you get the use of it, it should help you gain about 35% efficiency on your wire wrapping. Then we have the stainless steel. If you've not worked with stainless steel, this is a great set because it's got everything from 26 gauge down to 18 gauge. All 304 stainless. And then we have this mighty tiny chain that is very, very difficult to break when you're trying to break it. A really great value. All right, so we're early. I do have one other bead. I know you're, yeah, well, we can do that. I have another set of beads. Go ahead, you can come on up. The Oregon Sunstone. I couldn't get the 26 gauge wire through it, so I didn't make anything with it, but it's definitely worth showing. All right, so we ready? Okay, 863197. They're pointing at each other. Congratulations, whichever one of you it is, because you're both pointing at each other. All right. Stainless steel. Yep. Okay. I was talking about the Oregon Sunstone. So I couldn't, as I said, I couldn't get the 26 gauge wire through it, but I may take this and do something with it a little bit later. This is probably the clearest gemstones I think I've ever seen. They actually look like glass, but they're Oregon Sunstone, multicolor. Can you see that up there? Can you see the multicolor of it? Let's get this out of the way. Maybe if I put it up against something else. Oh yeah, there you go. Now you can see those. I don't know if I can handle all of those. Susan does that so great on the broadcast shows, but I don't know. There we go. Okay, so there's that. So this little set is $58.49. I of course see two pairs of earrings and 3 individual pendants is what I see there. Oh, I could keep going on the colors. Oh, that was a better picture that you guys had. That stock photo. Yeah, there you go. That's fabulous. Now you can see the difference in the two from what the one strand that they photographed and the strand that we have here today. That's cool. That's really cool. It's a beautiful set. You would definitely need 28 gauge wire for this though, because the holes are tiny, tiny. And it's always good to have it be a little bit thinner anyway for beads like this, because the points, you have to be extremely careful when you bend the wire to not have any pressure on the sides of the holes, because it's small and you don't want to break them. All right, I can't believe that we got through everything. That's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to show a little bit more of the multipliers, just so that everybody can make sure and get that. All right, so what we have is the pliers are set so that you can see what you need to see when you're doing this. So here, if we're on the overhead camera, you can see that's what I'm looking at right there. And so you just bend your wrist, bring this back around, hold on to it, then move this down to here, right in that curve, so that nothing gets in your way when you wrap. And then cut. And if you don't put the pliers down, you can actually pick the cutters up just like this. Then come out here about that far. If you notice, I've put a cache of beads on here so that they're always ready. I'm not trying to string them. So bend this over, bring this back around, over and across. Then put this up here, grasp, and wrap around. Be careful not to catch your other loop. And snip. Just like so. About a 35% increase in time. And you'll get, you may find other ways of doing it that are better for you. I find that this way is really good for me. And then I would go back and tighten in those loose ends just to make sure that everything is fitting together nicely and that you don't have any sharp edges to catch on sweaters or what have you. And then I don't know if everybody knows this, but transferring beads from a strand onto wire, there's a pretty easy thing that you can do. I'm just going to straighten this up a little bit. So you just hold the beads in your hand, in your non-dominant hand, draw them out here, hold them sort of in a line, then as you pull that out, just push this in, and you can load quite a few beads at a time. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's a pretty easy thing to do, and it really saves you some time. All right. Okay, so we're very close, yeah. So if you've purchased anything or would like to purchase something, you can go back and rewatch this on jtv.com/extra and look for my face, and you can go back to it and catch all of the good stuff that was there, and then see all of these great products that we brought for you today. As always, be kind to one another. It's great having an audience here. It's great having the JTV crew here to make me look better. Not thinner, but better. But anyway, thank you all, as always, for watching. Thanks for supporting this venture. And always my thanks to JTV and especially the staff. Everybody from JTV is just has just treated me like a king. So thank you, and we'll see you again next week at 9 a.m. Thank you very much.